So they rushed and ruined the final season of Game of Thrones to do the Star Wars film, and then they got fired from it. Hello, and welcome to the Collective Podcast, where today, of course, we are joined by Oshin.
Hello.
And myself, Rohan. Hello. As you can tell, that intro was a lot more enthusiastic than last week, because I am better. Anyway, what's on the agenda to talk about today? There's a couple of minor things going on with everything.
A couple of things. Like we got me moving because I'm moving, so expect probably maybe a shorter or maybe a longer episode depending on how the week goes. And we have what's her name? Gina.
Of course, Star Wars lady.
Yes. Really buff Star Wars lady.
Who played fucking. Well, I can't even remember the character's name. That's how.
I like the character, but I just like the actor.
Cool character, bit of a Nazi actor.
What
was it she said? She said that Republicans, i.e. right-wing people in America, are persecuted as much as the Jewish people were during Nazi Germany.
Well, she didn't say it, but it was implied. Heavily implied.
She may as well have said it. She may as well have said it, let's be honest.
Yeah, and to be fair, she's anti-vax. She mocks wearing masks, she mocks vaccines, she mocks pronouns, and she mocks people who are trans, so essentially making her transphobic. Honestly, I don't like her. I really don't.
What a person to bring to a party.
There's quite a few Star Wars creators that, I got in a couple arguments with some people because I was like, you're just dumb as shit. And, yeah, I actually ended up just unsubbing from a couple of Star Wars channels because they're like, oh, there was nothing wrong with what she did. I'm like, well, fuck you.
Well,
then. I'm out.
The argument they always bring up is freedom of speech, right?
It's such
bullshit.
No.
It's like hang on, hear me out. You do have freedom of speech, but that also means you have freedom of consequence. So you can have consequences for what you say. You're allowed to say it, but there are consequences to saying some things. So,
everyone's
deal with it.
Lots of things on oh, cancel culture. It's like, oh, cancel culture's become so toxic. It's like, no, she's not being cancelled. She said something that was fucking wrong. She said many things that are wrong. Now she has to take,
consequences.
Just take. Yeah, the consequence to her actions.
Just because you have freedom of speech does not mean you have freedom from consequences. And that's what a lot of people do not understand.
It's like what Sonic Kid said. There's consequences from your actions. When will you learn? I wonder where Sonic Kid is where he is today. What a guy.
I don't care.
Maybe we'll have him on the podcast.
Right.
Sonic Kid, this is an invitation for you to come onto the podcast.
Oh, God. Moving from one horribly racist person to another, or to a whole group. Let's talk about Texas.
I think that's a bit mean. So, yeah,
that was...
There's lots of good Texans.
Some good Texans. Not being racist or anything, but they did vote red in the last election, and genuinely are quite obscene. Anyway, they are currently snowed in with about 4 or 5 inches of snow. The entire power network and everything has just stopped. Natural gas has stopped. So I mean,
ow, fuck.
That's literally nothing fucking works in Texas currently, and that's because they refuse to sort of stick with the US, really, because in America you have 3 power grids, right? You've got the eastern power grid on the eastern side, on the eastern seaboard and into the Midwest. And then you've got the western one, which is, again, the western seaboard going into the Midwest. And then Texas has its own. So Texas is the only state where its power grid is controlled by the Texans instead of, a general body over the thing. So
this is gonna sound
they
really fucking mean.
They weren't prepared for it in the slightest.
But this is gonna sound really fucking mean, but Americans that live in places that haven't got their houses properly built deserve the fucking worst to happen to their houses.
Well, no, it's not.
And what I mean by that is, in the UK, right, for those who live in America, we don't have our houses built out of shitty pieces of plywood. We have them made out of bricks, mortar,
Depends where
cement.
You go. Depends where you go.
Okay, so this is what I've seen.
Mostly
so American
bricks.
houses have a wooden frame, then it has plywood put over it, and then it has something else that has like insulation put over that, and then more wood put over that, and then like a layer of bricks. Over here we have a concrete base, and then we have concrete blocks, sometimes reinforced concrete blocks, then
buildings.
concrete blocks going on each side, and then you have bricks going on each side. That's like 4 layers of fucking bricks and blocks, and then you have insulation that goes in the middle of all that. And then in the middle of that, you have wooden fucking frames.
Thank you for mansplaining building.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's just the fucking
any day
cheapness of America. They charge money for these shit built houses. It's just how they do things.
They worry about communism so much and just not even realizing they're doing like exactly what fucking Russians did, cheap out on like everything.
Yeah, but as long as the 1% stay on top, that's all that matters.
Yeah. To be fair, you can tell America has got some really fucking nice houses. Like there are some houses that are like properly fucking built and they do look really good.
Yeah.
Except they're all within like 2 million. They're all within like the 2 million fucking range. There'll
be Eastern Seaboard and Western Seaboard because they're where everyone goes. New York, Boston, and then like LA, San Francisco. That's where all the nicest places would be because that's where the place with the most money.
To be fair, Detroit, you know Detroit?
Yeah.
Its buildings aren't actually that bad. Like, yeah, they all look like shit, but they're still standing. Like, if what was to happen in Detroit happened in like...
We were straying quite far.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but if houses that are built in Detroit were built in LA, then, you know, all LA's houses would just go to fucking mush. But in Detroit, all their fucking things are still standing because, you know, Detroit actually used to be a pretty decent state. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was one of the richest states in, like, I think, 90s. Yeah, city.
It's in Michigan.
It was, like, one of the richest cities in the US. Because it was, heavily based around car manufacturers.
Yeah, I know. I knew that.
I don't even know that because I watched an episode of Top Gear.
But anyway, back to the Texas thing. I think a couple of top people within Texas have been like I don't know what to say because one of the mayors of a town has stepped down because he said all the money handouts and all the money and all the power and all the shit that was like provided to them to live, like power, natural gas for heating and the gas for like, you know, putting your oven on and stuff. He said all of that was handouts, right? Just government hands out all of that, which is wild. So he had to step down. His wife stepped down from her role. I don't even know what his wife was doing. I don't fucking care. But yeah, people have been literally pissing on their graves on Twitter, taking the piss out of them for everything. Another thing happened was Ted Cruz, the governor of Texas, was pictured getting on a flight to Cancun.
Didn't he skip town?
Yeah, he flew to Cancun.
Yeah, he fucking skipped
while
town.
the majority of the people in his state, by the way, who voted for him, he only has a job because of them, are freezing. Which is irony in its fucking perfect form. It's beautiful irony. obviously it's horrible for the Texans, but the irony is magnificent. It's like the Mona Lisa of irony. Like, and then there was something else.
America.
There was something else about another dude, but I don't care. I mean, as Texas, it's a state that I don't really care about when I look in American politics, because it's always been a red state, and there's nothing to look into it.
America is a capitalistic country which is slowly being subdued by their own fucking downfalls, which they're so blinded by, which is essentially communism.
And also, not to seem biased or anything, not to have a down on the Republicans, Joe Biden, like yesterday or the day before, also said something really bad. And he said,
I'm just like...
Joe Biden, he had a speech, and he was saying that he's spoken to Xi Jinping, whatever his name is, the leader of China, right? And Joe Biden said, all the Muslim concentration camps, all the horrible underpaid sweatshops and all that, he says, that's just cultural norms, and who am I to dictate what they are? So
yeah, no one should have. No,
he essentially endorsed them, for one. And to be fair, Trump was very anti-China, which is good. Because China is going to rule the world, like, not literally rule the world, but you know what I mean, like, everything's going to come from China. They can hold the world to ransom, essentially.
Well, too far. I think there's like I think someone made like a virtual simulation like ages ago about like how many people, like, where would you be born? I'm pretty sure like being born in China is like has like the highest fucking percentage.
Yeah.
Like the chances of being conceived are already fucking tiny. Then
it's 1 to 400 trillion to being conceived the exact same way as you are.
Yeah, and now split that up by country.
Oh yeah,
China's like the highest.
Well,
China's like
that sort of goes back to one in
a million or some shit.
One of my favorite jokes from a comedian. He says, "I can't tell a joke to the average person. The average person is Chinese." And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He is. There are.
That's fucking funny.
I mean, technically, he is wrong because the average person isn't Chinese. There's only 1 point something billion Chinese people out of almost 8 billion people. The average person is actually probably white. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
but it's a funny joke that strikes at the fact that China has a lot of people in one country alone. Same with India.
Yeah, because like they've had to limit like that's like everyone knows this, but like they've limited like how many people you can have in a family or some shit.
Well, it was the one-child rule.
Yeah,
which was abolished in the 80s, I think, or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, it might have been 90s. I can't remember. But I mean, the one-child rule.
I can't imagine it going down too well.
The one-child rule wasn't as bad as people think. If you catch my meaning. Of course, it was still not great, because parents did kill their daughters so that they could have a son, but that was like not a common thing. People would just have their kid and be like, alright, that's us. And if you had twins or like triplets or whatever, it would be fine. You were allowed to keep them. So and plus it cut hugely down on like overpopulation. Of course, we still have a huge issue with overpopulation, but imagine if China,
nearly 8 billion people.
Imagine if China didn't have that rule in the first place.
That'd be a good.
We'd be fucked. The world would be fucked. Not on a slight. Right, not to put a slight on the Chinese, but with the one-child rule, they've got the highest population. So just by looking at an average, if they didn't have it, their population would be higher. So
yeah. By the way, we don't endorse Muslim concentration camps.
No, fuck them. No. What China is doing is very bad.
Is wrong.
Is very, very wrong. Let's just get that straight. It's awful.
And if you do support Muslim concentration camps or concentration camps in general.
Read a fucking book.
In the words of Kurt Cobain, or what I'm going to say is paraphrasing, get the fuck out. Do not listen or even subscribe to the podcast, because we don't want you here. we do not want homophobes, transphobes, racists.
We don't want anyone who goes against basic human rights, basically.
Yeah, but yeah, that is it. And that's not pandering, that's just being a decent human being.
These people are human. Treat them as such. Anyway, enough about this politicizing bullshit. What else have we got to talk about? You moving.
I'm moving.
Right, yes. But you're not moving very far away.
I'm moving far enough away, so if schools opened, I'd still be having online lessons, because it wouldn't make a difference.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, so that's about it. So, for anyone who is probably waiting for me to stream, I won't be streaming until like maybe beginning of March, because I packed my keyboard away and I was like, oh fuck, can't bother to get that out again. So I've just taken down my entire gaming setup, like earlier on today, just so I can pack it up, and put all the cables and shit into one box.
And
I have like so many things to fucking set up when I go back over. No, well, when we move.
And another warning is that the podcast next week may come out earlier or later than usual. I'm not quite sure. Oshin's the manager on that. But I assume there also won't be a podcast the week after, maybe? Will there?
There should be one after.
Okay. And that will be...
We just won't be able to record Wednesday.
Okay, so that will be coming out on Friday, as always, except maybe not next week.
Yeah. And next week it should be fun.
Okay.
I think the week after we should be fine as well. It's just like I start my project like I think this week. So I'm not 100% too sure, but because it's like I have like 13 weeks on it, and I'm not that worried or bothered about it, since I always like just do way too much work anyway. Or I do work stupidly long hours.
So the next podcast, they'd probably be out on time every Friday as usual. But if they're not,
yeah,
deal with it.
Blame me for moving.
Anyways,
it's my fault.
So what have you been up to currently in the past week or so?
To be fair, like I'm wanting to make videos, I just can't be fucked right now because like there's stuff to do. I do stuff during the day, and I just can't be fucked, so I just play Minecraft.
I mean, fair enough. You do what you want.
Which I'm thoroughly enjoying right now.
I've seen you play a bit of Rocket League as well.
That's probably my brother, since he plays on the account.
Ah, okay, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. Well, I mean,
what have you been doing this week?
Well, I haven't really been playing many games. That's the thing, because I've been working on my own little project to help me be a bit more productive during lockdown.
Ooh. What is that?
I'm writing my own.
Is it a
book.
project you'd wish you're right?
Yeah, I'm right.
Please tell me it's an autobiography.
What? Dude, I'm fucking 18 years old. It's not going to be an autobiography. I've done fuck all for 18 years.
Yeah, just like wasn't there someone who just like technically written autobiography but had like nothing in it? So just blank pages.
Pointless. Why would I do? What? Just like write the first 18 years of my life and leave the rest blank?
No, just go. Hi, I'm Rohan. 190 blank pages.
Oh. No, it's not a fucking...
You can tell I fucking love writing.
It's fucking hard, man.
Writing
is fucking hard.
I was gonna do a short film for my final project, and I realized I have to write a fucking script, and I'm like, fuck that. I'll do a music video.
Yeah, you wanna write
way easier.
You wanna write a script, but you don't want it to be as shit as EastEnders, essentially.
It's not hard to be better than EastEnders. I'm sorry,
but like, people still fucking fail.
Soaps are fucking awful.
Oh god. Yeah, but I mean, it's fucking hard to write a book.
Yeah.
Just
Look at that. Script writing is just a more of a technical thing, which I just can't be fucked.
Literally for the past week, I've been thinking every single day, like, where the fuck do I go from here? What the fuck are these characters doing? What the fuck are those characters doing? What's the overall plot of the story? Fuck me? I haven't had any time to do anything else. Like, I decided to write a book to be a bit more productive. I'm not productive at all. I'm just sitting in my room fucking typing out things that could or could not happen. That happen inside my head. I've drawn a map, for God's sakes. That's how productive I've been. I've drawn a map.
Wait, a map? Do you know where you live, or like
no, a map?
A full
map
Tolkien or something
for my book.
Oh shit! Nice.
Wait,
what's your book about anyway?
That is something I won't explain for a long time because I'm not entirely sure myself yet. But there'll be, if I remember, there might be weekly updates on it with the podcast. I've currently written a prologue and 3 chapters.
3 chapters? How long is the first chapter?
So the prologue's about 1,400 words. Chapter 1's about 1,600 words. Chapter 2 is about 1,100 words, and Chapter 3 is about 3,500 words.
So it's not going to be too long of a book. Then,
so far, I have 20 chapters planned.
Okay, so I say that's like 100-ish.
With about
200
with
pages,
about
maybe?
3,000 to about 2,000 to 5,000 words per chapter. Because some chapters are a bit more in depth than others. Because the way I'm doing it, right, and I don't know if this has ever been done before, but every other chapter is going to be the protagonist story, right? And in between those chapters, you've got what the antagonists are doing, so the evil people, and then you've got a bit of exposition, so some storytelling about like the past and some of the characters. So that's sort of what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's been done quite a few times.
Well, I'm fucking doing it. And all my chapters,
Yakuza 0 did that.
All my chapters are one word chapters as well.
Okay.
So there's just like one word to sort of give you what you'll be reading about, and then you can read about it essentially.
You're gonna be the Tolkien of our generation.
I don't know. Maybe, hopefully, because then I don't have to think about my future, do I? Just
no, you don't.
Just writing books. Oh god, that sounds
then
dreary.
you can be like George R. Martin, like doing one word like per fucking month.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I'm sorry. I can, as a writer, no, not as a writer, but like him as a writer, I can't fucking stand. I'm sorry. No, I can't stand Game of Thrones either. But then again, he doesn't like Game of Thrones, so I can get behind that.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed Game of Thrones, but I just can't watch it ever again because of Season 7 and Season 8.
They should just fucking retcon
it. It fucking ruined it.
Oh, so it's time travel. Just do. Oh, look, time travel.
No, they shouldn't just mention it. They should just delete it and redo those 2 seasons. Because do you know what I find really, really funny? Do you know why those 2 seasons were rushed?
Because they were shit?
No, because the directors, David Benioff and something Weiss or whatever, they were planned to do the next Star Wars film, like as of the time. So I think it was Episode 8 or Episode 9. No, not to direct. No, yeah, I think it was Episode 8 because it's Rian Johnson. I'm not entirely sure, but so they were like, all right, let's get Game of Thrones dealt with so we can start working on the Star Wars film. And then they did Game of Thrones, finished it. Nobody liked it. They got fired from the Star Wars film. So they rushed and ruined the final season of Game of Thrones to do the Star Wars film, and then they got fired from it. And I just find that poetic justice beautiful.
That is fucking poetry. Like, it's pure.
You can't write this shit, man.
To be fair, I've been seeing a few things about how, well, because apparently they've announced like they've announced like I think what is it, like 10, 11, and 12 for like the next Star Wars movies, and apparently Rey is in like 10 at some point.
Sounds fun.
Which which to be fair, if they do like a 10, 11, and 12, characters I expect to see are Ahsoka, characters from Rebels, Cal Kestis,
Grogu.
Actually no. Would Cal even be in it? No, he'd be fucking dead or like really fucking old. Cause like Fallen Order takes place
before Episode 4.
Like, yeah, it takes place a few years after Order 66. So like in the sequel trilogy, he's old as shit. So he probably won't appear then.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be like a Yoda situation.
He wouldn't be that old.
He'd be like
He'd be
fucking
60.
Ben Kenobi
around
old.
60.
He'd be Ben Kenobi old.
Because if you think about it, he's not that old at the beginning of Fallen Order. He's about like maybe 18, 19, 20 age. Right.
Doesn't like the original trilogy it spans like 20 years?
No.
From the fall of from Order 66, isn't it 20 years?
Yeah, it's 20 years from that. So, but it happens.
The Mandalorian's 5 years after.
It happens a couple years after. Fallen Order starts a couple years after Order 66. So maybe about five years after. Let's say for
Mandalorian's 5 years after.
So
the fall of the Empire.
So Order 66. So Fallen Order is about 5 years after Order 66. So that's another 15 years till A New Hope, right? So that would make him let's say 34, 35 at the beginning of A New Hope, and then those 3 films take over. I think they said it was 6 years. I can't remember exactly. Yeah. So that would make him, by the end of the original trilogy, that'd make him about 40. And then it's 20 years until the sequel trilogy, so it'd be about 60. And I think those take over about 6 years again, or something like that. Or a bit less, maybe 3 years. So it'd be about 63. Roughly. Very roughly 63 years old, if they do another... Well, it depends how long after. If it's another 20 years, then it'd be 80 and probably be dead. But then again, he's a Jedi, so you never know.
Yeah, he's probably like fucking Koron human, which is like what Mace Windu was. Since like when Mace Windu he wasn't fucking human. Well, he was human, but he wasn't.
Well, he wasn't actually our human.
He wasn't like Earth human or like Coruscant human, which is like as Earth human as it gets. Like Koron humans, they're like all Force sensitive. It's where quite a lot came from. Most Force sensitives either came from like Koron or like fucking Coruscant.
How do we go from nothing about Star Wars to suddenly waffling on about Star Wars for like 10 minutes?
I don't even know how we got here.
Neither do I. We were talking about me writing a book and then we came to Star Wars.
Fuck, how did we get here?
Well, anyway, let's move on to... Let's move on to some other things we might want to talk about. What else have we... I mean, you want to... There was the Destiny thing.
Okay, so basically I saw earlier that there's a gaming journalist, Paul Tessie. A lot of people might know him. If you don't, well, check him out. Some of his stuff's good. I don't really read it because gaming journalists aren't my thing, and many of them I just despise. But there was this whole thing with Bungie and a studio expansion for like future growth in 2021. I'm just having a quick look through it, see if there's actually anything interesting. Which they broke ground on an extensive expansion and redesign of the worldwide headquarters, estimated to be complete in 2020. This project will increase Bungie's HQ footprint from 84 square feet to more than 208,000 square feet in addition to the building state, so they're just doing a massive expansion. Is there anything that's like... Okay, so alongside the addition of its board of directors, Bungie has also announced several key additions and investments into a renowned talent pool. New appointments to Bungie leadership team for the years of industry expertise they bring from inside and outside Bungie. There's a lot of words here. It's like they're saying words, but they're saying nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
To expand the Destiny IP and bring new stories and experience to engage the community.
Essentially, what you're saying is that they're getting a new sort of developing team to do Destiny for them.
I swear to God, just get Luke Smith off that team. Just get him off. Please, get him the fuck off. He's dick riding his own dream, and it's fucking embarrassing to watch.
Anyway.
Like, it really is, because Destiny's been going in a downward spiral for, like, ever.
Yeah.
Like, Destiny's never been a great game, but, like, it's never been as bad as it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's practically, it's like cracking, like, you mix crack and heroin together, and it's essentially a Destiny player.
Crackoin.
Well, it's yeah.
Or Herowack.
Herowack.
Yeah.
Sounds like a fucking Minecraft mob boss.
I just read some pretty interesting news, right?
Okay.
An endangered species in the US, which is called a black-footed ferret, has been cloned. Cloned, you know? I mean, that's
yeah,
pretty
I
fucking
know.
cool. In terms of science.
They ever do the same thing with sheep, like,
yeah, in the
years ago?
80s, they cloned Dolly the sheep, or something along those lines. But the sheep died, like a couple of months after, because... Fuck me, anyway. But this is interesting that they've managed to clone a near-extinct animal, as well. I should have mentioned the black-footed ferret is an endangered species. So it is pretty fucking cool that they managed to clone it.
To be fair, they need to start doing that with other animals as well, like, you know, pandas. Because pandas are fucking awkward as fuck to breed.
So,
like, they don't just fuck, they're picky as shit.
So reading this article a bit further, and just to say that I am on National Geographic, so it is a somewhat trustworthy source. It was cloned using preserved cells from a long-dead wild animal. And this is the first time any native endangered species has been cloned in the United States. So, it's more, I don't know. It's interesting that it was a dead specimen they cloned. So they've just essentially brought this thing back to life. The fucking one that died however long ago, they brought it back to life.
Well, let's just wait a couple months and then we can see where it's at. Because I can imagine it's ferret. It's a ferret, so, you know, they're not too hard to, you know, maintain, I think.
Apparently they're hard to kill because there are very little of them left.
Yeah. Just don't put them out to, I don't know, get the batch working and then, you know.
The population in the wild is roughly 400 to 500.
Shit.
Yeah.
To what country? Is that
just to US? It's native to the US. It's the only ferret that is native to the US.
Fuck.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's like that's a tiny fucking number.
The ferret they cloned, right, died 30 years ago. They brought something back that died 30 years ago. They brought it back to life, essentially. This ferret has been reborn.
Do you think they can bring my will to live back?
Oh shit, nothing can bring that back.
Oh, I'm just saying, right, if they, with that being a technically, it was extinct, now no longer extinct.
No, it wasn't extinct, it was near extinct.
Okay, so because it was so near, doesn't that mean any future clones at work, and assuming that they're all kept together, isn't it going to be like a large amount of fucking incest?
Well, it depends how many they clone, that's the thing. Say if they clone.
Wait, do we know the gender of it?
Well, no, but if they clone 500 other ones that died 30 years ago, right? Then
But
it's fine.
you'll have to mix
if
it.
they clone the exact same one like 30 times and just let them breed, or the exact same two, so a male and a female, if they just clone them over and over and over again, yeah, that'll be pretty fucked up. That's eugenics.
Like, surely they're mixing DNA with, like, other, like, with the current alive ones.
No, that's the thing to clone them. They just use the cells they found on the body. I'm assuming the body was preserved, because I imagine 30 years is quite a long time for any, like, flesh or anything to
be fair,
still
that
be
always
there.
scares me, because there are tons of movies on, like, getting animals which have died, or, like just... I can't remember what movie it was, but there was, like, this one movie about, like, a bunch of researchers out in, like, I think it was, like, the poles or some shit, and they found, like, a mammoth, which had this virus, which then spread to this bird, and it fucking... Essentially, that was at the end of the movie, and I was like, oh, this bird has, like, the virus now from, like, the very beginning. And it's like, oh, the whole world's fucked, essentially, anyway. But they spent the entire movie trying to get rid of this virus, which would, like, go into your fucking skin and, like, eat you alive. It was fucking nasty to watch.
Sounds great.
It was fun to watch. But
I'm pretty sure anything we bring back won't have that, because anything that we clone will be, like, not that old, for one. I think.
Yeah,
I think the thing is,
this movie was based over millions of years ago.
I mean, I might be totally just speaking absolute bullshit right here, but I believe for near extinct animals, they keep, like, a dead specimen, like they freeze it or something, just in case they can bring the species back, like
they do that with a lot of plants.
They did that with the ferret. They brought it back. So
they do that with a lot of plants as well.
I might be talking absolute bollocks, but I think I heard that somewhere, which is great, because obviously you should believe everything you read on the internet.
I'm not fucking... Imagine if we get to a point where just cloning stuff is just an everyday... It's just, like, a normal everyday thing. Like, do you think that would ever happen? It would just, like, just going out to clone this.
Imagine how amazing that would be. For certain species. Like, certain species that only have, like, 3 or 4 animals left in them, like, in the world. Say the white rhino, for example. It's essentially extinct. But imagine if we brought them back. Like, and then the tiger as well. Indian tiger. They're really almost extinct. Polar bears are getting there. Like, pandas even. Like, imagine if we just, like, made these populations big again. African elephants, Indian elephants, all of them. All these, like, creatures that are going extinct that we might never, ever see again. Imagine just bringing them back. Like...
But isn't the white rhino, isn't it just males left now?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so wouldn't they would have to mix, like, DNA with other, like female, like, just rhinos, which, it's, like, you have different ones, but
that's
the closest relative.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. You don't really, if you're cloning it, you don't need to mix, because you just use the specimen that you have. You just use that, and
Yeah, but I can imagine once you clone it, it's far easier to probably just clone, like, a handful of them. We'll put them into an enclosure with other ones, and then see what happens from that point.
Yeah,
I can imagine it'd be far cheaper. It would weaken the genetic. There's a word for it, but it would weaken the genetic fucking traits of that species, but it would essentially save it.
Yeah,
and it'd be far faster than
obviously,
just
of course,
it.
there is gene modification, which will be a thing eventually. I imagine quite soon as well, because a lot of gene modification is quite a scientific thing that people are working on. But the thing...
aren't they still? People are already doing it with babies, aren't they?
Essentially,
That's
yeah.
been a thing for
They're doing what is it? like is it root cell? What's the cell that they use? Stem cell, yeah, stem cells, yeah.
Because it has the ability to essentially be
to duplicate itself,
turned into
and
any
it turns
cell.
itself into But the thing I get, the thing I don't understand with cloning is how do they clone it and then it's like an embryo, or does it just like make itself? Like how is it? What is the cloning process? Like how do you get this thing that's been dead for 30 years back alive again in the exact same way? Like that is
again.
Weird
I
to
think
me.
a lot of it would have to be using. It's well, say if in the case of the ferret, you'd be using like some of it's already like it's the species that's closest to
it'll
it.
be
like
its own species.
you've like
because it's not
essentially you're creating a totally new
it's
animal.
not extinct, but the one that they cloned, is dead for 30 years. So the species itself is not extinct. They've only got 400 to 500, roughly. But the one they used to clone was dead.
What you'd probably use is you'd probably use one of like the ones that are alive to inseminate it, and then something like that. Or I don't quite know. It's fucking
it's
weird.
weird to think about, because obviously when you watch like a cartoon or something, cloning just happens in a zap or a flash of a light. Obviously, it doesn't happen like that in real life. You don't just zap someone and then there's a fucking like clone. That's not how it works.
Well, even you can't even be like, oh yeah, they just put like its stem cells into like an embryo, because then that's using like another counterpart.
Oh yeah, it's weird to think about like cloning. Is there just like a machine that does like a weird spinny thing and then it's good? But
maybe we use bone marrow.
It's a weird.
Like we're not educated on this.
We are not at all.
Educated
we are
on this
making
enough.
Very wild guesses about this.
I think I think it would have to be bone marrow, because ages ago, it's a little bit political, but a bunch of like radical feminists saying we can just kill all men or get rid of all men because you can make bone marrow babies, which we all know. Like, anyone who's done like any amount of research, even like 30 seconds, would know bone marrow babies last for like 2 fucking weeks and die. So maybe it's something like that.
Okay, here.
Except because it's a ferret.
I found the article again. It says this new clone.
Educate us.
This new clone is a genetic copy of a wild female named Willa, who died in the mid-1980s in Wyoming and has no living descendants. Her cells have been cryopreserved at the Frozen Zoo. And I mean, it doesn't really say much more than that.
Well, to be fair, I think if it's a female, then I guess it would probably be bone marrow. Since if it was a male, I don't think you could do anything.
Cells. Its cells were cryogenically frozen.
See, I think because it doesn't. I think it. I'm gonna say embryos.
Here we go. Here we go. I found the bit. The cloning process began by taking eggs from sedated domestic ferrets, a related species, which were used to avoid putting endangered female Blackfoot ferrets at risk. The eggs were matured, and scientists with Viagen used pipettes to remove the nucleus and genetic material from them. After transferring the contents of Willa's cells into each egg, scientists gave them an activation stimulus to get them to divide. This created embryos that were then implanted into a domestic ferret.
It was so fucking close as well.
The shit we were talking was pretty accurate to an extent.
It was accurate to an extent. There was bullshit in there, but some of it is true.
They got fertilized eggs. Well, no, the unfertilized eggs. Took them out of sedated female ferrets, domestic ones. Took the main cells out of them, so the domesticated ferret cells, and put the Blackfoot ferret cells in them, and then put them back into the domestic ferret. So this domestic ferret gave birth to a completely different species, which is fucking wild to think.
To a degree, it is somewhat
imagine
a new species.
Imagine
To a degree.
imagine a human woman, right? It's just like they're like, oh yeah, we'll be able to impregnate you via in vitro fertilization. And she's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So they take one of her eggs out to fertilize, but instead they they take all the human genes out of that and put fucking monkey, like chimp genes in,
God.
and then artificially insert. And then like 9 months later, she gives birth to a chimp. That's essentially what is happening there. A domestic ferret giving birth to a species not too dissimilar to itself, a black-footed ferret. So it's like a human giving birth to a chimp.
There are definitely, like, you know, but your good old horror movie Twisted Scientist, which
That's
would
an
experiment.
amazing idea.
Yeah.
Russian, let's make it.
It makes passing it. Write this shit down.
Let's make this fucking film, boy.
There's definitely gonna be a fucking hot. There probably is about like essentially cloning, but with like them being inseminated with different animals.
That's
like
a weird fetish.
Like if you want a fucking horror movie, just put horse DNA into it. There's a fucking horror movie.
A weird ass fetish. Very specialized.
Imagine giving birth to a fucking horse.
I think a human would die.
You die.
I'm pretty sure a human would die.
Yeah. You would just die throughout the process of it while holding.
A chimp, you might die,
like
but you never know. Let's fucking do it.
I think a chimp might be alright.
Chimps? Yeah, they're quite small. Chimps are smaller than babies, I'm pretty sure, baby chimps.
You might be alright. Like, I think anything ape-wise, you should be good unless it's a fucking gorilla. Then, you know, you might be a bit fucked. Unless you get a C-section. But, you know, any wild, like, anything else, you'd be fucked. I guess you could have birds, but, you know, because they're small.
Just lay an egg. Or just...
No, you wouldn't even lay an egg.
You
would
just give birth to a chick. Oh, that'd be horrible. You'd fucking break its neck.
No,
pushing it out.
Yeah, no, it would fucking die upon being born.
I'm pretty sure it'd die. This is fucked up. We should stop talking about this. Jesus Christ. This is gonna...
Yeah,
this is gonna lead down a horrible rabbit hole that we do not want to keep talking about. Jesus. Anyway, anything else to talk about? I'm just scrolling through the news on Reddit, seeing what there is.
Yeah, we have talked, like... So this is what happens when we don't plan it out, which, you know, we're... Like,
one thing we can talk
8
about
episodes.
is...
We'll get the hang of it at some point. But,
next Monday, or next Tuesday, or next even Wednesday, I can't even remember which, is the UK's COVID review day, lockdown review day.
Ooh, I have my predictions.
On whether they ease up or stay the same. Because currently we are in technically total lockdown. Essential travel only is what.
My prediction is it's a very positive one. And by that, I mean I'm positive we're going to be fucking locked down still. Because we ain't moving anywhere.
It's a hard thing for the PM to sort out. Because obviously people don't want to be locked in anymore. But
like he'll either succumb to everyone's moaning, or he'll keep everyone in lockdown, listen to scientists.
He'll succumb to everyone's moaning, and then we'll all be worse off for it and blame him.
Yeah.
Or he keeps everyone locked down, everyone will be better off for it, in certain ways, maybe not mentally, like mental health wise, but generally physical health.
At this point, as much as I'd like to blame the fucking blonde
either way he gets blamed.
He can't. Yeah, I'd like to blame him like for a lot of things that's happened within this last year, but like right now within the last month, everything's been on people. Like, of course, people have always been a massive part of it, but for the last month, it's mainly been people.
No, I mean,
there's nothing
the politicians aren't doing much either. Fucking travelling out
they can't do...
Well, no, I mean, like, they
can't do fuck all at this point.
They're not following the rules either, politicians, so...
Yeah, no one's following the rules, so like
I
you
am.
know,
All I
if you
do is
say
stay
one
inside.
thing. Oh yeah, it's...
No, I'm only joking. I'm the peak of happiness. I just want to cut myself. Anyway.
So
Jesus.
either way, let's move past that.
You good, man?
Yeah, I'm fine. Let's move past it. So either way, the public will blame Boris Johnson for whatever happens. So if he
takes people out of
if he
lockdown,
opens
people
it
will
up,
moan. If he
if
doesn't,
he opens up, people will be happy to begin with, but later down the line, they'll start moaning at him because infection rate's gone up, and I'm going to have to put us into another lockdown to stop infection rate. And then if he keeps us in, it means that people are like, why can't we just go out to a pub, or why can't we just go see on and on and on. But to be fair to him, the vaccine rollout has been very good.
oh
The
yeah,
UK
no, I'll
has
give him that.
the best vaccine rollout in the world. Which, to be fair to Boris, good on you.
I'll give him that. I'll give him that one.
He was
It's
as
hard
soon
not
as the
to.
vaccines became available, he bought loads of them. He got
the vaccines before the EU did, which I find again beautifully ironic.
Yeah.
But to be fair to him,
Isn't like a whole thing going on with Brexit right now? Because like some shit happening with it.
It's happened, I think.
Yeah,
We've got our
happened,
deal.
But, like, isn't
we're
that
officially out. And I mean, people,
a lot of people who voted for it are now seeing,
yeah, maybe it wasn't that great.
We made a fucky wucky.
Ooh, yeah, it's not affected us well at all. Oh no.
do you know what?
Like, of course, there's gonna be there's always gonna be.
Do you know what I
benefits,
find
but there's
poetic
always,
as well?
The poetic thing about
Go
it,
for it.
when people like Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson were campaigning for Brexit in like 2015 or whatever, on the side of the bus they put, "We send £30 million to the EU every year. Let's stop and put that into the NHS." Where's that fucking money now in the middle of a pandemic when we fucking need it? What the fuck is it? Oh wait. What they failed to tell people was that despite the fact we put £30 million in every year, we got more out of it.
Anyway, let's not talk about Brexit because that's one way for me to just give up on life. Facebook, of course,
Is always as being a bit shitty witty, as it always is with its privacy policy and stuff going on. It's not that recent.
There's nothing that Facebook.
But it is not great, and I think it deserves a mention. How Facebook is changing all their privacy policies to sort of store user data in certain ways and share it with other things. So I mean, it's not good. Don't use Facebook.
I don't like Facebook, but
I have it, but
I don't know why.
In terms of data storage, I think people just stop fucking moaning about it at this point
really,
because
with Facebook, it's not really data. It's not really data storage. It's data sharing,
and that Facebook seemed to be the only company who have been
outed of doing it and still continue to do it.
Yeah, but at this point, Facebook I don't see what people keep moaning about at this point because they have your data. They'll fucking sell it if they want to. There's fuck all you can do with it. Just might as well leave it.
Yeah, I mean,
don't use Facebook. Problem solved.
But I mean, Apple,
once all
Apple
the boomers die out,
Apple is doing a good job at combating Facebook's privacy policy and shit like that.
I did hear something about like Apple and Facebook having like a fucking debacle.
Yeah, Facebook sued Apple over like restrictions they put on the App Store, like for certain apps, about users' data, and Facebook were like, "Hey, we want to sell our users' data. Fuck you! I'm going to sue you." And Apple are like, "Well, I don't think that's fair. Don't do that." And Facebook were like, "No, I will do that." But I mean,
Apple seems to have like a good cop, bad cop situation.
Well, I mean,
going on every few months.
The thing is,
they'll do something will happen.
The thing is with that is that Facebook were fighting. You're not going to allow us to store
users' data and keep it in a place that where we could potentially
sell it and stuff. And Apple were like, no, we're not going to do that.
We're not allowed to sell
No,
information.
and Facebook and Apple were like, no, we're not going to let you do that because we want to do it ourselves. So it might be that sort of situation.
Actually, no, don't worry about that. Other people will just hack into Apple servers and take it for them and then sell it. Because its OS is so shit.
I don't use Apple for its OS, I use it for its convenience.
Oh fuck! The only reason I'd have iPhone is just so I can access iCloud fucking easily on my phone.
Again, it's because it's good the way it works, how everything works.
To be fair, I'll give it to Apple.
They know how to make a phone.
They're heavily. They know how to make a phone, but they also know how to make your fucking password recovery nearly impossible with iCloud.
Yeah, well.
like, if you want to recover your password, you gotta wait a whole year.
In the name of
I think that's the only thing. I think it's more convoluted than anything. Because it's just fucking annoying trying to reset your password of Apple. Because you need your current password to make a new password, like most companies do. But then you have to go for like a whole 2-week waiting process if you haven't got like a backup account for Apple. Because you need an iOS device to reset.
Well, maybe you've only got that 2-week waiting period because just every Apple user is retarded, so everyone's forgetting their fucking password. So they're like, why are so many? They're just fucking got these queues of people who just are fucking stupid forgetting their passwords all the time.
Yeah, because I had to reset my password from like 2 years, fucking I don't know how many years ago, like 6 years ago, and I was like, okay. Let's do this because I used to use Chrome and I use Opera GX just because I don't know, I find it just way more easier to use, and yeah, I can control how much fucking RAM it uses up, which is always good. I had to sign into my iCloud, and anytime I had to sign into my iCloud, I was like, fuck, I had to use Chrome because I have my password saved on Chrome. Except now I reset my password, it's all sorted and shit, but it's just a pain in the ass. I had to wait for so long.
Fair enough. So,
well, a week isn't long, but
a week isn't long
longer than anyone wants. Like, it's not long, but it's longer than you want to wait for when you want to reset a fucking password to check a single email.
Yeah, well, first world problems, isn't it?
Yeah, what are first world problems have I had?
Well,
oh yeah, I reinstalled like all my Windows shit onto an SSD, and it's fucking way faster. I'll give it that.
Yeah, I can imagine my Windows is on an SSD, and it's beautiful.
To be fair, on boot drives from using an NVMe to an SSD, I think an NVMe is faster by like 15-ish seconds. I'd say like 5 seconds from NVMe to SSD.
Fair enough.
They're both really fucking fast though. I just because having a hard drive and having a ton of shit on there was a pain in the ass. Except trying to uninstall Windows on a hard drive and just remove all the files, I've never had a more painful experience in my fucking life. Ever.
Oh dear.
Fucking ever. It's so fucking annoying because I was like, oh yeah, let's just clone. Let's clone it. And
did you get the embryos?
Not a single...
Did you get the membranes out of the cells?
Full
circle. It's come full circle.
There's not a single piece of cloning fucking software or equipment that you can use or change my mind that cloning is good.
And on that bombshell, thank you for listening to the Collective Podcast this week.
Yeah.
I have been joined by Oshin, as always. If you want to find him, check out youtube.com/blueberries_TLA or twitch.tv/verdict. If you want to find me, stick around on this channel, the Collective channel. We have merch on the Design by Humans website. That'll be in the description, I'm sure.
Yep.
Again, thank you for watching this week's episode. Apologies if next week's episodes are delayed, but they might not be. Who knows? Find out next week.
We should be fine.
Anyway.
Find out next time.
Thank you for
on
watching.
Dragon Ball.
Ta-ra.